Well, it seems that peace doesn't last as much as I would like it to. I'd received a communication when I was on a tour of our shipyards and looking over the new designs that are coming out of the Bureau when the Emperor summoned me back to Tokyo. It was urgent, so I returned. A Japanese trading ship had been struck by stray gunfire from an Italian fleet, and the Italian fleet did nothing to help. We confronted the Italian ambassador, who had just been replaced by someone more, should I say, belligerent. Apparently there had been a soft coup going on inside of Italy this entire time. But that is not my concern. Politics are outside of my purview, but what was my concern is the fact that the Italian ambassador refused to even meet with us. Then, tension started going higher and higher when Italian ships started seizing our oil ships coming from our new dominions, or even our dominions' vessels, trading in oil with other nations, citing a belief that it was being sold to the enemy without proper compensation. Needless to say, this quickly spiraled out of control and into a small war. In the meantime, our Marines have successfully taken and occupied what was once known as Italian Somaliland and Eritrea. In Italian Somaliland, we're doing the same thing, setting up a dominion, and we'll do the same in Eritrea. And we've opened up negotiations with Ethiopia for trade and industry building. However, the current Italian government seems less than likely to just simply allow us to end the war peacefully. They became more and more belligerent and made the cardinal sin, as I am told, of accidentally striking an American vessel with minefields they had placed. And that American vessel just so happened to be a civilian vessel carrying wounded civilians from a recent battle and an earthquake in the Middle East. Needless to say, the United States quickly found itself at war, or at least, I'm not even sure if they're still at war. They're still at war with Austria-Hungary, who also declared war on us, citing we were interfering with their trade. We had been doing no such thing. Finally, when our government confronted them about it, saying, we have not been stopping your trade, we have the paperwork, your trading ships tried to just plow through our fleet because your trading ships took priority over, I don't know, an entire navy's worth of combat ships going on a mission. You probably shouldn't approach us, or if you do, fly your flag. The Austro-Hungarians just simply said, well, we declare war, and here we are. It's frustrating, but I guess there is some silver lining here. There is, by my calculations, a almost $100 billion surplus in the Navy budget, which is surprising. We've kept ourselves out of debt. Actually authorized a bunch of extra money that would be going to the Navy to go help pay off the national debt, and, well, we're now in the positive. I'm not quite even sure how we've managed to do it, but we did. So, with these newfound funds and this reserve, I'm thinking about starting a naval building program to rapidly increase the size of the Navy, because obviously we're going to end up in blows in Europe. I've been trying to avoid it for years, but it seems that we might actually have to have an expeditionary force capable of reaching Europe. Our new base is in Arabia, which is now fully under our Dominion's control, and with Eritrea and Somaliland being able to be at least supply ports, and with our agreement with the British to use the Suez Canal, it seems, well, we're going to need a bigger fleet. Thankfully, our Yomiuri-class battle... I nearly called them battle cruisers. That's effectively what they've been doing. They've been doing interception missions along the Horn of Africa, doing as many missions as they can muster. In fact, it took some convincing to keep them away from going to raid the Italian homeland. However, the ships acquitted themselves quite well and served their purpose almost perfectly. They did exactly what we did their refits to do. Sure, they had smaller guns than their 9-inch guns, but they had more. And the 8-inch guns proved quite potent. And their secondary armament is nothing to laugh at either, with their capabilities now almost doubled in my opinion. The original design was good, but with these modernizations, it's even better. With laying down of new ships coming to a slight to and fro, it's kind of become a mission for me to look at our next tasks. The first and major one is to immediately end the war with Austria-Hungary and Italy as soon as possible. I don't want another 10-year-long protracted on and off of war cycle. I'd rather have us either at war or at peace. Pick a side. But, again, I must control my temper. There's only so mad I can get when there are things outside of my control. Although I will say, when the new Prime Minister came into office, I did very bluntly tell him the Navy would like some peacetime operations. Thank you. He nodded and said he would do his best, and needless to say, he was not, shall I say, whole in the body when, or rather, he lost some of his bowels, I believe, when I entered the room after the Austro-Hungarians and the Italians had decided to start, well, negotiating for a peace treaty between the two. Oh, and an alliance, which is why I happened to be there that day. My friends, Alex, William, James, are all quite busy. Alex has been busy trying to keep our relations with the Royal Navy going well. In fact, when one of their ships ended up marooned on a small bank in the Persian Gulf, we helped them out. And the crews were given various British awards for their heroism, as they were not specifically ordered to. They'd happened to find the stricken vessel and her escort ship, a destroyer, beached, or partially beached, on a shallow bank that hadn't been charted. Thankfully, they were able to be rescued without much issues. In the meantime, with the newest development, with us being sort of co-belligerents with the United States, I've asked Will to go back to the United States and negotiate on our behalf, as sort of a go-between. He is still the naval attaché, and I think he deserves some time at home. James just got back from spending some time in his native Scotland, and he has some new ideas about better coordination with the British. He's even working on a new relay system to go all across the Pacific. This way, if perhaps ships get marooned or they are having engine troubles, there are different zones of responses. An outline of the entire goal of our program. But now, with more modernization and higher-powered radios and telephones, I don't think it'll be much of a hindrance anymore. Technology's evolving, and the fleet will have to evolve with it. But anyway, I should probably look over the next reports from the war. It seems the Italians have rejected another peace offer. They claim they want peace, but they keep rejecting it. At this point, I might ask the British if their occupied zones might be interested. You see, the king had been forced out of power in a coup, and he and the royal family have fled south to the British zone of occupation. And so far, it seems that they've been establishing a government in Naples. With that in mind, it seems that I might have to go speak to the king, or send someone on my behalf. He might prove to be a useful ally, and if we can end the war with his native Italy and save his people more destruction and death, I would be happy to do so. Plus, I've always wanted to visit Italy. I've heard it's quite nice.